I will let Miles speak pretty soon, so that you can kind of leave if you want to. I know this will be very familiar for you, but yeah, Miles at the Grove, who you guys might know, he's been using Push for a couple of years. So I'll tag you in pretty soon, Miles. I'll just kind
Yeah,
of
no
give an
problem.
overview. Awesome, thank you. Um, yeah, so to tell you guys a little bit about Push, so I'm in Vancouver. That's where our head office is. That's where we're based out of. But we're kind of all over North America. So really, really big in Canada, and helping restaurants. So whether you're a restaurant, fast casual, quick serve, different businesses in the hospitality space in streamlining operations and really reducing a lot of admin. So we know that nobody kind of opens a restaurant to do paperwork and run payroll. So trying to eliminate all of those super fun tasks so that people can do what they love. So that's our BHAG, which is our big, hairy, audacious goal, is to help 1 million people do what they love. Less time on admin and more time on the floor with your customers. Um, so that's a little bit about us. And we are actually homegrown and family run. So we were founded by a brother and sister and their best friend. They are still our CEOs and CTO. So we're actually still a smaller company. Yeah, that's homegrown. So we also kind of build our own software. We're not white labeled or acquired by another company. We're really specific to the hospitality industry. So building for you guys. These are some of our customers. So, as I said, really specific to the hospitality space. You'll recognize some of these. I know Pony Corral and maybe Bougie and Hudson's Bagels are some local examples, but also large multi-location groups like Earls and Cactus Club also use us at every single location of theirs. Maybe now, yeah, since I mentioned the Grove, we have Miles here. I'm just going to let you speak to your experiences with Push. So, maybe you can tell us how long you've been using Push.
Totally. For those who don't know, I'm Miles on the Grove. Thank you, Sarah. Um, we started using Push in March of 2023, so about just coming up on 2 years ago. Um, I am old and I'm set in my ways, and I'm a technophobe who doesn't like change. So it was a little bit difficult for Push to convince me to do this. And I'd talked to a lot of people at the time. I'd got quotes from different payroll and timekeeping companies that I was like, I don't know if this is right. But I felt as though Push had more to offer than what some of these other companies had. So since joining, we've taken full advantage of their scheduling, their timekeeping, and payroll services. Our scheduling used to always be just pen and paper. The staff now love being able to access online on the app, um, see the schedule, be able to make request off, and swap shifts at the push of a button. No pun intended. Um, our manager and sous chef take care of the scheduling process for us, and it used to take up quite a bit of their time, probably a couple hours at least once a week to sit down, look at everything, look at everyone's request off, look through your phone, look at your random notes that people had left. Now it's all just on the computer, and they're able to kind of bang it out in no time at all, which means that they've got a lot of extra time to be able to do more important things that they should be working on. And kind of the payroll aspect for it is I used to spend probably at least half a day doing payroll once every 2 weeks, with the way we had things set up, adding up the hours, doing all that stuff. Now it takes me 15 minutes at the most, and that's only because of how we have our tip share set up. For some places, it literally could be done in a minute and a half. Like double check a couple things and click submit, and it's done, which is time saving is huge as far as that goes. Um, so that side of things has been so great. But the big savings that we've found, it comes down to the timekeeping. And I don't know who's aware of this, but everyone is late all the time these days. And I don't know if it's a post-COVID thing, a generational thing. I'm not sure what it is, but everyone is late on our staff pretty much every day. I'll give you a quick example. Our evening kitchen staff start at 4 o'clock every day, and they show up anywhere between 4 and 40 minutes late every day. So I was interested when I was preparing some notes for today just to see kind of what that actually looked like. So I just picked a week at random, and it was almost 6 hours in a week, counted minute by minute, and that comes out to about $100 a week in savings, which is $5,000 a year, and that's just in kitchen start times. I got one guy who works for me in the kitchen. He works 4 days a week. He is 15 to 20 minutes late every day, and he alone is saving me $1,000 a year. So like that's one guy, $1,000. It's mind blowing. This also doesn't take into account any of their finish times. So on our old pen and paper schedules, we would round up to the nearest 15 minutes. So if someone finished at like 10:38, we just rounded up to 10:45. Um, with push, everything comes down to the second. So you're able to really, when someone logs out, they're finished, they're done. You're not paying for them anymore. Um, and then the other thing that we haven't taken full advantage of, but I look at every day, and we're waiting to properly integrate with our POS. But on the app, there's a dashboard which gives you up to the minute labor cost. So you're able to go into each day knowing what your labor cost is going to be, and then be able to take into account the weather or reservations or something like that, and be able to cut down on that number. So yeah, just to sum up, myself and my staff have been very happy with Push. The time and the money savings were such an unexpected bonus. I wanted to make things easier, but the amount of savings that we're having is kind of mind blowing to me. So I was going to say, if anyone does have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me at any time directly if you have any other, particular questions that Sarah won't be able to answer today. So that's it. I don't know if Sarah, if I covered everything that you were hoping I would, or if you have anything else you want to ask me.
No, that's great. I had a few questions, but you kind of just answered all of them. And that's super helpful. It's interesting that you say unexpected. Find it hard to try to, set that ROI or kind of show that through the time tracking. It's always such an unexpected thing for people when they switch on and realize how much they didn't realize how they weren't tracking down to the minute, and you can save so much. So that was super, yeah, useful to hear that. Awesome. Well, I appreciate that. I am gonna move on, and yeah, I appreciate you helping us out. You're welcome to jump off anytime. I know I'm going to be showing the system pretty soon, and you know it very, very, very
I'll
well.
stick around for a little bit. I have an interview soon, but I'll stick around for a bit if that's okay.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks, Miles. Well, yeah, I mean, Miles highlighted some of these things, but I was going to go over some of the common challenges in managing labor in restaurants, which Push can help with. So, one of the things is using multiple systems for managing staff. We know that you guys deal with vendor exhaustion. You need so many systems, whether that's for inventory, delivery, reservations, payroll, scheduling. So, at least on the labor side, we're trying to bring a lot of that into one place. So just, yeah, reducing the amount of systems that you need and having more of an integrated experience so you're not moving data around. Um, Another one, overspending time on payroll. I think that is the biggest thing, as Miles mentioned. Really just running payroll with the click of a button and pulling those hours through. No more timesheets when you're clocking in through a point of sale and running payroll through another system. So that's a huge benefit there. Overspending on onboarding. So I don't know, yeah, if Miles uses this or not, but onboarding new staff is something else that we can help with. So applicant tracking, digital onboarding is a whole other piece that I'll talk about. Often being done through, yeah, with paper, which still blows my mind. So collecting information and then entering it into a bunch of systems. With Push, you can kind of just click a button, send a digital onboarding package, and they set up their own account. So I'll touch on that. Time theft, Miles highlighted really well, but we have kind of more robust settings than a typical point of sale in terms of auto adjusting based on the schedule, since we are also the scheduler. And spending too much labor costs due to overscheduling. So I'll show what Miles was talking about with our integrated point of sale forecasting. So basically forecasting so that you can see weekly, each day, and even hourly what your sales are going to be and make sure you're not over scheduling and overspending on labor. And so this is what we offer all in one place and what I'll walk through. So this is really the life cycle of the employee. So from hiring, we've got an internal applicant tracking system, onboarding, digital onboarding packages, scheduling integrated with various point of sales. Feel free to ask me anytime after this. I know there's a bazillion out there, but we integrate with all the, Touch Bistro, Toast, Veloce, Lightspeed, whatever you're using. And so scheduling into time tracking, we've talked about how we can streamline the hours approval process and make that really easy, with the biggest thing being that the hours feed directly into payroll and payroll's quick to process. With that comes a lot of great reporting. So when you do have your sales versus labor in one place, look back reporting, as well as those actionable insights with forecasting are really useful. Just some background. So we're really app-based. These are all the different ways you can access the platform. So now with Push, you'd have one system for payroll scheduling, tracking all your employees' information, their data, performance reviews, seeing your sales coming from your point of sale system. All of that can be viewed and actioned in one platform, but we also have robust permission levels. So maybe not every manager should be able to see SIN numbers and see how much everyone's getting paid and stuff like that. So really robust permission levels. You can do everything on the web app, but we also lend some functionality to the manager app. So if you're on the go, especially businesses that maybe have multiple locations and you're going from place to place, you can see your sales versus labor right on your phone for each location and approve shift changes and do your clock approvals and change shifts around even right on your phone. The employees as well. Miles talked a bit about the employee experience. Really, really easy to use. That's what we're known for. So employees have easy access to their schedules. They can do submit availability updates or do schedule, shift changes and stuff like that. So really easy for the employees to access everything, pay stubs as well, since we are payroll through the employee app and a web app version as well. Okay, so that's the background. I'm going to touch on a few things. I don't think I'll um, go through the entire system in depth because there's a lot going on, but I'll definitely touch on scheduling. So baked into the schedule, when we integrate with your point of sale, this is where you can see your forecast. I'll zoom in. I know it's hard to see. So weekly and daily, you can see your forecast. There's no data entry. This is coming from your point of sale system. So we actually use machine learning. So it's kind of AI based. We're picking up on trends. So we're looking at past sales and a few other things like holidays and so on. So you can see for the day, this is my labor forecast, this is my sales forecast. As you add shifts to the schedule, you can see your scheduled labor cost and your total scheduled labor cost as a percentage of your forecasted sales. So that makes it really easy for managers to see. And if you want to stick to a certain budget, makes it really easy for anyone to see that. So you can actually set a labor versus sales threshold alert as well if you're ever surpassing that. So the goal is to make that really accessible and visible to you, both weekly and daily forecasts, and on the sales heat map hourly. So here we're breaking it down a little bit further. You can see during the week, each hour, when your peak times are going to be and when you're a little bit slower. So sometimes that can help when like the seasons are changing and you want to kind of figure out, oh, maybe I don't need as many people on the floor at this time and so on. Even further, I mean, it depends the type of business that you're in. If you want to get really granular on the daily view, you can pop up costs as well and kind of create an ideal labor versus scheduled labor. So you can kind of say, okay, I need X number of bartenders based on X number of sales. So setting that labor guide, it can tell you how many of each kind of position you should have scheduled based on the numbers. Okay, that's more or less the POS integration and how that helps. As a manager as well, I think I mentioned on the manager app, you can have access to this. So you can see the sales forecast for the day, usually and actual sales for the day. That's updating every 15 to 30 minutes, dependent on your POS, scheduled labor and actual labor throughout the day. Even more, I don't think I'll go more in depth, but you can see real-time sales info in here and some nice graphs, your sales versus labor throughout the day. So trying to consolidate everything into one system so you're not having a bunch of tabs open with your POS and so on. Then as far as scheduling goes, like there are lots of great schedulers out there. The big difference is not connected to your payroll. That's really where we shine. But if you're doing manual scheduling, definitely a digital option is going to be much easier. So you can see days of the week up top. We're integrated with the weather network. Maybe not as bad in Vancouver. I know you guys get some bad storms in Winnipeg. So the goal is to kind of, yeah, schedule based on that and the foot traffic you might get, or maybe it's patio season and you want to see, is it really sunny and how many people do I need on the patio? So nice to have that there. Events as well, you can publish. Like I popped in the Four Nations final on Thursday. If you have a pub, maybe you're going to be busy for that. So yeah, creating that schedule as well becomes really easy. So it's drag and drop, super easy to add shifts and add any tags. This could be tasks or locations. Where are they stationed in your restaurant and so on. So drag and drop, super easy to create and super easy to see their availability. So how many days can they work? How many hours? Which days? Which hours are they available? And I'll mention if you are multi-location, like I'm in one location here, but it's super easy to click into my different restaurants or my different businesses, and have different schedules for each of those. Okay, so yeah, you've got a digital scheduler. You can publish that to all of your employees, and then they have what's most up to date on their employee app. So they have their schedule, the daily schedule, so they can see when everyone else is working. They can submit updated availability requests, do shift swaps or shift releases. So we know that, managers are spending a lot of time. Maybe it's text messages or emails if you don't have a system like this, and just trying to move things around, and it takes a lot of time. So really nice to have an app-based experience where they can just switch with someone. It'll go to that person. If they agree, then it goes to the manager and the manager can approve. So it makes that pretty seamless. Since we are payroll, they have their pay stubs here as well. So nice to have your scheduling and payroll needs all in one place. We do have a chat feature as well. So your communication, again, some people are using WhatsApp or Slack or something like that. You can kind of create channels within here, send pictures, maybe an inventory channel or a manager channel, and so on. So a lot of things consolidated into one place. That's the goal. So we've scheduled the staff and now we want to track their hours. So there's different ways you can do that. Either you can have them use their phone and clock in through their phone, and we can set geofencing to make sure they're clocking in at a specific location, or you can use a tablet. And it doesn't have to be a blanket statement for everyone. So maybe if you have delivery drivers or something like that, and they need to clock out at different places, you can say, okay, they can use the phone, but a bartender that's coming in has to use the tablet. So they'll come and clock in. They can see what they're scheduled for, the clock time, the position. Of course, we can support multiple different positions and different pay rates. So I know some schedulers don't have that ability. With this, like maybe I schedule them as a bartender, but last minute someone's sick and I ask them to fill in for their other position. We want them to be able to select that so it's tied to the correct pay rate and connected to payroll properly. So they can clock in. A few optional features you can use, like a message board, let everybody know the special, for example. We can also ask them some questions. This is called a survey, but I find that customers use it a lot as like a task checklist if you want to have some yes or no questions for them, but lots of options there. And then the photo feature. So really important for making sure it's them, no buddy punching, no one can clock in for someone else on the way to work. And you can kind of see if they're in their toucan parka and then they're going to go to the back room and get changed and they're not really starting. So some different ways you can kind of enforce accountability there. Okay, moving on to now how you do your clock approvals. This is where it gets really easy. So in the back end, because we are a scheduler and we're connected to the time tracker, you can kind of set a buffer if you want to and auto adjust to the schedule within that buffer. So if someone clocks in at 9:55 for a 10 a.m. shift, I can just auto approve 10 a.m. and send it to payroll. So stops you from manually going through every single clock punch. And yeah, saves you time and makes it a little bit more accurate. Then maybe you want to require manager approval though for something earlier. So if someone's clocking in 30 minutes early, I probably want to see, did I ask them to come in early? Are they trying to get extra time? So a lot of different options for you to kind of set that up as works for you. So the goal is you're auto approving as much as you can and then flagging those other discrepancies for clock approvals. And this is where I hear from customers that, oh, it's so nice to be able to see this all in one place, because if you're using like paper or Google Sheets for scheduling, for example, and then clocking in through another system, they're printing that or they're pulling it up in one system and comparing. Well, here I can see Phoebe, she left late. That's why this was flagged for approval. And I can see what she was scheduled for in her clock times all in one place. And I can approve the clock time, the schedule time, or I can manually edit any clock punch. And there's always a history of changes for what manager was logged in and who did what. So the clock approval process becomes easy, but then I think the best part is running payroll. So rather than pulling reports from one system and entering it into another, you'll just click run payroll. I just already have one waiting for me. Takes about 3 seconds, and there's your pay run as far as your hours go. So all your labor, overtime, stat holiday, it's all calculated. So then you can add things if you need to, of course, any other earnings or deductions, either kind of one by one or something that's recurring on every paycheck, or by uploading a spreadsheet to quickly upload for everyone all at once. And then when you're ready, you approve. And most people will use direct deposit. I think that's easy and preferred. You can also issue your own checks, lots of options there. But yeah, the employees all have their pay stubs. You've got access to them here and PDFs and so on, but very self-serve for the employees as well. And we do have integrations with various accounting software. So for sending journal entries over, that's something we don't do accounting, but have those integrations for ease. Okay, ran through that pretty quickly, but I think that probably highlights the ease of running payroll. I'll maybe touch on a couple other features. So a daily logbook is something that some people are still doing on paper. Maybe you want your managers to note something every day. So they can actually do that on the manager app through a logbook. So we'll actually take a snapshot. If we have that POS integration, you'll see what your sales were that day. You'll see your sales versus labor for the day. And then you can have managers write any other notes or, add fields. How many discounts did we do that day? How many guests came through? Just some examples. And then that'll be sent to whoever you want to at the end of every day to get an idea of how things went. And you can come back and kind of search different terms and see if anything was going on. Some other reports that we have, actually, yeah, I won't go too deep into reporting. I know they're boring, but super helpful. I'm going to show you probably the most commonly used report. Just have to grab some data here. Okay, so this is your sales versus labor total detail report. So when we're integrated with your point of sale, you can then go, okay, I want to look at last year or last month or last week or last pay period and see my sales and compare to my labor. So here, I can see a sales summary during that time period, my total sales broken down by different revenue centers that you have set up in your point of sale. You can see a labor summary by department. So how much did each department cost me and as a percentage of my sales, broken down by cost center, by position, and even further by employee. So really quickly, I can pull this and see kind of where the money's going, how much I paid each of these staff members, how much I paid out in overtime and stuff like that. So that one's useful as well. Sometimes the stat holiday report, I think, is used to also show you. Now we're calculating stat automatically when it comes to payroll, but for knowing who to schedule on an upcoming stat based on what they're going to make, you can kind of run a report too to prepare for that stat holiday as well. Okay, I think that's so that's scheduling, time tracking, feeding into payroll, which is the big piece. I'll touch on the applicant tracking as well. So this is where we help with hiring and onboarding. So you can actually create job postings within Push. If you ever want to look at a live client example, you could probably go on any Earl's website and click apply now, and you'll see something that looks like this. So branded, I'll click on one of my current postings for Sarah's Hideaway. And what Earl's has done and what you could do is just use this link and embed it on your website. Or you can share that, email it. We also have integrations with LinkedIn and Indeed for exposure. Finally, if you do get lots of walk-ins, we want to be able to take those applicants, but not deal with the paper that they're bringing in. So we want everything digitized and streamlined and all tracked in one system. So you can print this and have a QR code and say, oh, thanks, just scan and apply on your phone. So create that job posting, choose what you'd like to collect, like availability, how many hours they can work, etc. And then we can also weed out candidates that aren't qualified with disqualifying questions. So, finding out, do they have a certain certification, or certain amount of experience? Are they willing to work weekends? And if they say no, we can automatically reject them and say, no, thank you, not a good fit at this time. So that way, only the candidates that you want to be looking at are coming through to your candidate dashboard. So you can see who they are, what position they applied to, when that came in, the status of that application, and where it came from. And then I can click on them and I've got all that information there, easily accessible in one place. You can also decide who has access to this. Like maybe the chef only has access to view back of house hires and he'll be involved in that process. So some different permission levels here, and you can actually communicate from here. So having multiple people be able to see that rather than like someone is forwarding someone's resume and so on. So nicely consolidated. You can see if they've ever applied to work for you before or worked for you before. You can create interview templates. So maybe if someone's going on vacation and you want someone else to ask specific questions, you can create that here. Writing notes internally, like I really like this one, and sending digital branded offer letters as well. So that's applicant tracking, and leading into digital onboarding is probably where you'll reduce the most admin in hiring new staff, especially if you're using different systems. So collecting, direct deposit info and then passing it to your accountant or entering it into your payroll system and getting forms signed and so on. So this now just happens with Push with the click of a button. So it's position based. I can collect different types of things for different positions. I can click invite and I'd send them a digital onboarding package that looks something like this, an email. So they'll go set up my account and then they'll enter in all that information that you need. Their SIN number, their availability. This maps over to the scheduler. So the first time a manager goes to schedule, they can see that already. Any documents you want them to attach, and expiration dates you need to track, like for liquor serving licenses or anything like that. You can have them upload those and set notifications to go to any different admins that should be alerted before those are going to expire. That also applies to working holiday visas. So if their SIN starts with a 9, that means they're on a working visa. That'll prompt them to fill in that information and expiration. Direct deposit info, so no more chasing people down for a void check. They have to fill this out as part of the process in order to be scheduled, in order to be paid. And finally, any forms that you need them to fill out, like an employment contract, for example, getting them to just digitally sign that and then it's attached to their profile. Any other forms that you want to slot in there, you can, and then we'll have the TD ones so that they fill that out and it maps over the payroll. So really, when you hire someone, all that your staff would need to do then is enter in their position, their pay, review that, and flip them from pending to an active employee. Within that, there's performance reviews in the HR module and HR tasks. So if you need to send forms to get signed and completed, you can do that through here. And we will bucket them into work milestones as well to help you celebrate your employees or do those annual reviews if you're doing that kind of thing. All right, I think I'll touch on one more piece here and then I'll be done. I know it's a lot of me talking, so this will hopefully have been a good intro to Push. Let me just, I might have to sign out of this one. I'm not sure how many multi-location groups are around, but we have an enterprise dashboard if you're, running a few locations and trying to manage all of that in one place. So for that sales versus labor information, you don't have to just see that on a per location level. This is where we'll consolidate on an organizational level. So you can see your sales forecast for all my locations, scheduled labor, actual sales, and actual labor for all locations, and kind of compare and see how the different businesses are doing. Lots of other reports. We track things like turnover. I know that's a tricky one to track. So when someone goes to to leave, you can note a reason why they left, and then we can run all sorts of reports and track if that's different per location, or just if you have one location, what are the main reasons that my employees are leaving, and how can I retain them? Okay, I think I talked really fast for a little while there. Miles, anything that you want to add since you're still here, and about anything that I went over there?
I put in the group chat or the text thing that T4s are available on the app as well. And so that kind of saves having to move stuff around and send them out and all that stuff. They're just it's great even for former staff members. People reach out, they haven't worked for you for almost a year, and how do I get my T4? Log on to the app. It's right there for you. So it's that really I found has helped a lot. And there were a couple other things that you talked about, like onboarding. It's so easy. We get a resume, we do an interview, we say yes, you're hired, and it's literally someone sends an email, and then everything else is on them to do, and they can change stuff that they need to. They can do whatever they need. So again, in my opinion, it's great. Um, no, I don't work for the company, but I'm happy with everything that happens through Push. So again, if you have any questions for Sarah or for me at any time, if you don't have my info, I'm sure you can get it from Kim or just call the restaurant and let me know.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I don't think I highlighted some of the kind of basic payroll things so much, which just to be clear to anyone, we would completely replace like any other payroll provider, an ADP or Ceridian or any of those. So we do the T4s, the ROEs, the government remittances. That's all really streamlined through Push. So yeah, that was a good point. All right. I think, yeah, I'll stop talking. I really appreciate your help, Miles and Kim, you having us. And again, anyone can contact me after this. I'm sure we can share info if anyone has any questions. But yeah, thanks so much, Kim.
Thank you very much. I'm wondering if there's anybody who has any questions that they'd like to ask right now.
Hi there. My name is Thomas Stewart. I'm the Director of Food and Beverage at Thermia Spa in Winnipeg.
Okay, hi.
Hi. You answered a lot of the questions as I was taking notes as you were presenting, but the only one that remained was to do with cybersecurity. So our head office is in Quebec, and Quebec has kind of stricter cybersecurity laws. I don't know if you're familiar with Bill 25 there.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Um, so because our head office is in Quebec and we've got 3 locations, we're holding all 3 of our spas to the same standards. So kind of we're going above and beyond Manitoba standards when it comes to that. But I've been looking into platforms like yours, and a lot of them have been knocked off the table because they don't comply with this Bill 25. So it has to do with where the data is stored. Often these companies like yourself have the data stored in the States. And so that would be off the table for this situation. So I'm not sure
Okay,
if
good
Push
question.
stores their data at all in the States.
I think I know we're a Canadian company, so I'm not sure.
Mhm.
I think it's Canada, but maybe I'll just take that offline. I can check
Yeah,
and get your contact details and get back to you
sure.
on that. But I'm almost certain that we comply. I know we have a lot of customers in Quebec as well, but
Yeah.
I'll just check to make sure and I can get back to you.
Okay, sounds good. Another company we were looking at was Seven Shifts, which is also Canadian, but didn't meet the standards. So
Okay,
yeah,
interesting.
yeah,
All right, well, I'll contact you after this and we'll get
great.
to the
Thank
bottom
you.
of it.
Awesome. Are there any other questions for Sarah or Miles while we're here? Awesome. Okay. Well, thanks everybody for coming. Sarah, thank you so much. Miles, it was great to have you be able to come here and kind of share your experience with Push. It's nice to have the live action feedback in a webinar. So we appreciate that you can come. And yeah, Sarah, thank you so much. It was fantastic. But yeah, we can end there on a great high note.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thanks again for your time, everyone. Really appreciate it.
And thanks everybody for coming.
Thanks. All right, bye guys. Thanks, Miles.
Thank you.